alguna opción más económica para mi madre?
Jehovah is as near this day as in the time of the ancients. Put yourself in order, becoming one with him. And no book is so easily read as his created universe. Inspiration comes less by books than by what Jehovah wrote. His worlds read him and his works. Frame your speech and your thoughts for him. He will answer you in your own behavior and in the happiness of your soul. Great wisdom cannot be attained in a day, nor purity and strength to overcome temptation, till the growth is from the foundation. The fool will say, the sacred books are no more than man of his own knowledge could write. Yet he has not wisely imitated the power of the words of your God. Let him do this well, and behold, he will also declare my words are from me. Yes, he will recognize them wherever found. It is the will and wish of your God that all men become constitutionally capable of receiving and comprehending the highest life, and that they shall no longer depend upon any priest, church, oracle, holy book, or upon consulting the spirits, and that their behavior may make the earth a place of peace, with long life to all people, for the glory of Jehovah. To his Etherian gods and goddesses, Jehovah said, as you have founded arcs of light in my Etherian heavens, to determine the travel of my corporeal worlds, so shall my God of the earth inspire mortals to build lighthouses for man's ships that travel on the oceans, and those who travel in the ships. And those on the land shall know when a ship nears the port, even as you see my traveling earth approaching the place of Cosmin. For this shall be an illustration to mortals, that I have appointed cycles of times and dawns of times, with gods and goddesses to superintend my creations in tenderness and love, lest by chance man becomes despondent, saying, alas, Jehovah did not provide in wisdom commensurate with the magnificence of his creations. Behold, the time draws near when the nations of the earth shall cross around the whole earth in ships, crossing the seas and oceans to all the places I created.
Yes, yes, yes. Rise up yourself. Big up yourself, family. You know what it is. It's the hostess with the mostest. Select the Sila Shalom on the one of tunes. Got the big dog in the background. You hear him. Hear her. I mean, that's that Kenny Carso ripping up the airwaves right there. Let's go ahead and hit him with that. Let's go ahead and hit that diss track real quick. You know what I mean? Hit him with the diss track real quick. Go ahead and hit him.
Y'all want to say that the brother won, y'all can say what you want to. Y'all voted the way y'all voted. I ain't hurt.
King Sila Shalom, another victory. Hail me the king, cause that's what it tend to be. War child got crushed, I took him out his misery. Swing swords cut his vocal cords quite sufficiently. Zion under my feet met his defeat instantly. Trying to compete, run a retreat before you mention me. In the Coliseum, I got eyes on my enemies. In mausoleums, I'ma leave them for coming centuries. Headshot fatal, couldn't recover from his injuries. Bloody gore, ligaments tore, did him vicious, gut him to the core. Give him some more, straight consistent, settle the score. Cause I'm for sure another victim. Cut through Zion like a knife, decapitate, take life. Put his head on the altar for the ultimate sacrifice. For years you've been living lies, following the myth in the sky. Greco-Roman theology through Ethiopian eyes. You just as blind as Christians who thinking Jesus is why. Truth in front your face and you seem they can't get it right. Jah Rastafari, not gonna save your life. Real killers move in silence, in the shadow of night. The sleeping giant awoke, you know it's been a while. Coming out of hibernation, hungry, thirsty on the prowl. When the conquering lion growl, it echoes about a mile. I'm the real god of war, this nigga just a war child. Sacrifice him to his god, now his soul's immortal. Walking through the valley of death on brimstone tile. Zion wanted smoke, got suffocated by poison clouds. If you can't take the heat, get the hell out the kitchen now. Standing on my square and I'm here to retain the crown. This debate Coliseum, I'm bringing the building down. 2 years ago we told you a new sheriff was in town. Battle of the holy books, bitch, we backed you niggas down.
Woo! Man, it's hot up in this place, man.
Yeah, you know how we do. You know what I mean? That's how we do the MCs around here. Clats claiming to have it together. Put them in a cast.
Creator gang is undefeated. Creator gang is undefeated. Know that. Know that. They not like us. Separate the real from the fake is a must. We stand on Creator and no God we trust. Team Kemet got crushed into powder and dust. Woo! Kemet looking bad now. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many men down? Look at us all running, ducking, trying to skip town. Now power one it in. You Hebrew, what you Kemet now? Siding with the people that enslaved your own people now? Chop you up into pieces and throw you in the river now. Reggie right beside you, get ate by Kemetic crocodile. Look, we got them running, covering square miles. Scared to death, what's left only to take the crown. Get smashed down on your own stomping ground. We took over like the Hicks on your turf doing a disco. 2-stepping, no half-stepping with the info. You wouldn't even know the book of the dead, bro, if it wasn't for the translation done by my sparrow. Your time's narrow, semi-missiles blow out your arch arrows. Arches down, so goes the pharaoh. I saw him reading the glyphs like he an expert, but where he learned that from? This about to hurt. First translation came from Samuel Birch. European Egyptology gave you it first. You couldn't translate a bird to a word without looking up them European definition verbs. Y'all niggas acting like y'all blackity black, frontin' to the people, man, y'all niggas actually whack. Your pathetic Kemetic creation meant there's a trap. The blind leading the blind with no actual facts. Shabario Saze, you softer than Sade. Come to find out he followed Yahweh. That was your execution, you par Rosicrucian. Western thought you using, you are quite confusing. Don't know what you doing, how my eye got you moving. Right now you are losing, at your wake I'm viewing. R.I.P. communion, mummy wrapped in ruin. OSP is ruling, science has been proven. All motion moving, you live in an illusion. Who you think you fooling, think you need some schooling. It's like Reggie out here living in a ghost town, walking around like I see dead people around. I don't believe in spirits, but I believe them now. Stuttering Stanley, you can have a seat now.
Stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley. Shut up, you freak!
Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods.
Man, that's how we do the post gods around.
Creator gang is undefeated. Creator gang is undefeated, and it's gonna remain that way.
With these cats,
and it's gonna remain that way.
That's just how we do around these parts. That's just how we do around these parts. What's the word, family? What's the word, family? What's the word? Your boy Silah Shalom in the building. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly. What's the word? You know what I mean? Yeah, we gonna vibe out. You know what? I'm not even sure if Cosmo got a debate tonight. That's a good question. I remember he did have a debate coming up. I seen it about a week ago, but I'm not sure if it's tonight or not. If it is, let me know. We got to tap in and support the God. You know what I mean? Let me know. We got to tap in and support the God. Yeah, so when I did a live a couple days ago, probably, I don't know, if it was like a week ago, I had tapped in on that Codex Sinaiticus because I found out some interesting stuff on that Codex Sinaiticus because, you know, we hold that Codex Sinaiticus up as authentic or whatever, but I found out some interesting stuff on that Codex Sinaiticus. I'm going to pull up the historical European authorship of the Bible because I think I mentioned that in that real quick. Let me pull that up. What's the word? How y'all feeling today? I see the gang chiming in. You know what I mean? Let me see if I can find that Codex Sinaiticus in this presentation I did some time back. All right, right here. Yeah, I didn't see him screen real quick. All right, check this out. Hold on, let me see something real quick. All right, let me share my screen. Come back to that later. Snoop, what's the word? I see you, King. So now, y'all remember I did the European authorship of the Bible, this drawer right here. Let me just come back up. When I did European authorship of the Holy Bible, I touched on the step two. I mean the Codex Sinaiticus. Right here. And it states that the Codex Sinaiticus is the 4th to 5th century Common Era script. Because the Codex can be dated with a reasonable degree of confidence between the early 4th and the early 5th century. Biblical scholars considers Codex Sinaiticus to be one of the most important Greek texts of the New Testament, along with the Codex Vatican. So now, the Codex Sinaiticus is considered one of the most important texts. But here's the catcher right here, though. Check this out. The Codex Sinaiticus hoax and Constant von Tischendorf. Now, this guy, Constant von Tischendorf, is the one who discovered the Codex Sinaiticus, right? That they say is a 4th, 5th century text. Now, hold tight. Hold tight for a second. All right, I'm back. I had to load on that TV, right? All right, so let's get into it. So now look, the Codex Sinaiticus was discovered by this man right here. He's the one who found the Codex Sinaiticus, right? Constant von Tischendorf. That's his name. January 18th, 1815 to December 7th, 1874. He was a German biblical scholar. In 1844, he discovered the world's oldest and most complete Bible, dated to around the mid-4th century, and called it Codex Sinaiticus after St. Catherine Monastery at Mount Sinai. So he is the one who gave you the name Codex Sinaiticus, right? Now listen to this. Never mentioned in antiquity. No 4th century writer ever mentions, describes, or quotes the manuscript we today call Codex Sinaiticus. There is zero ancient testimony about this codex. All references to it begin only in the 19th century, when it was discovered by Constant von Tischendorf. Look at this. There is no record from the 4th century, 5th century, 6th, and 7th century of any mentioning of this manuscript. Check this out. Reason. Codex Sinaiticus is simply one of many anonymous large biblical codices produced in the 4th century. Ancient scribes rarely identify specific books by name or describe them in writing. And nobody in antiquity wrote a letter saying, we have a codex of the entire scripture like Sinaiticus. This means Sinaiticus is not mentioned by Eusebian of Caesarea, Athanasius, Jerome, Cyril of Jerusalem. Any fourth century historian, bishop, scholar, or church writer, there is no ancient quote about it because it was unknown to the historical record until modern times. Look at that. Bruce M. Misger, manuscript of the Greek Bible, Princeton University Press, 1981. He states source. No written record of Codex Sinaiticus exists prior to its discovery in the 19th century. Look at that. Look at that. That's a source telling you that, yo, this Codex Sinaiticus that we think goes back to ancient time, we don't know nothing about it until the 19th century, until this guy Constance discovered it. 2, David C. Parker, Sinaiticus scholar, British Library. Source, the story of the oldest Bible, 2010. Look what it states. There is no ancient testimony referring to the manuscript now known as Codex Sinaiticus. So these are 2 sources that are letting you know that this Codex Sinaiticus is a new discovery. Don't go back to ancient times. The British Library official custodian, British Library Codex Sinaiticus project official description. Nothing is known of the manuscript's history before its arrival at St. Catherine's Monastery. Look at that. See that? So this Codex Sinaiticus over here that we like, oh yeah, the Codex Sinaiticus, that was around the 4th, 5th century. No, this shit wasn't discovered until the 19th century. The reason they place it to the 4th, 5th century is based off the writing style. So, who spoke of Codex Sinaiticus first? Constant von Tischendorf, who discovered portions of it in 1844 and 1859. Tischendorf owns a account. Let me go back up and put a picture of him. Yeah, let me go ahead and grab him up real quick. Put him right here. So we see what we're talking about. This guy. Well, now. So who spoke of the Codex Sinaiticus first? Constant von Tischendorf, who discovered portions of it in 1844 and in 1859. There you go right there. Now, Tischendorf's own account, his words, he said, I found the precious manuscript in the monastery of St. Catherine at Mount Sinai. So there's an image of the place where he said he discovered it, right there. Tischendorf, what does that say? Notitia Editions, Codex Sinaiticus, 1860. That's his source. It states, he was the first human in recorded history to speak about it. Ain't nobody know nothing about no Codex Sinaiticus until he brought it up. Or you thought Eusebian and Jerome and Athanasius, you thought them niggas was running around screaming Codex Sinaiticus, huh? No, he's the one that coined the term Codex Sinaiticus based off this area right here where he claimed he found it. Now, he was the first human in recorded history to speak about it. Eusebian writes to Emperor Constantine in AD 331, Constantine ordered Eusebian of Caesarea to produce 50 copies of the Christian scriptures for churches of Constantinople. Constantine requests, source, Eusebius, Life of Constantine, 4.36. I have thought it expedient to instruct your wisdom to order 50 copies of the Holy Scriptures to be written on prepared parchment by skillful calligraphers. So here is actually a source where Constantine do reference getting books. Because there's a lot of speculation that say that Constantine didn't compile no books. He just was, the Council of Nicaea was debating the divinity of Christ. But here we have a source where Constantine is requesting 50 books to be prepared. So, he did deal with compiling books. We could say that now, because that's a source. Now, Eusebian replies, Eusebian Life of Constantine, 4.37. We have sent to you, your majesty, the 50 copies of the sacred scriptures. So here, scholars and experts who disagree with Tischendorf, dating of Codex Sinaiticus as a 4th century manuscript, Constant Seminoid, 19th century scholar forgery, he is the most famous person who disagrees. Now here's somebody in opposition. He states, he claimed he wrote the manuscript himself in 1840, making it not ancient at all. Quote, 1862, Seminard publicly attacked Tischendorf. The Codex Sinaiticus is my own work, written by me in 1840. Constant Seminoid, The Guardian, in parentheses, London, September 3rd, 1862. Why he was rejected by scholars? His story changed many times. His handwriting didn't match the manuscript. He could not describe missing sections. This is a death blow right here. Monks at Sinai denied his claim. Now keep in mind up here, this is what he claimed he found it at. They saying the monks up here saying, nah, we don't know what he talking about. See that? Monks at Sinai denied his claim. But he is the primary historical opponent of Tischendorf's claim. We have J.F. Farrar, critic of Tischendorf. J.F. Farrar accused Tischendorf of exaggerating the antiquity. Quote, Farrar, 1863, the age assigned to the Sinaitic manuscript is far too early. Tischendorf judgment cannot be accepted without reservation. See that? J.A. Farrar, literary forgery, 1863. So these is cats opposing his claim. William B. Hone, 19th century critic of biblical texts, quote, in 1860s, source, the Sinaitic manuscript is not of the 4th century as Tischendorf asserts. So look at that. They challenging this dude on his manuscripts as his discovery. Like, yo, man, this shit don't go back to the 4th century. This is made up shit. This is made up. Home, Apocryphal Writings, later edition. Some modern alternative researchers, not mainstream, they are not accepted by scholars, but are examples of disagreements. So they questioning that if this, what we see right here, the Codex Sinaiticus that we think it is from the 4th, 5th century, come to find out, it don't even go there. It's a forgery, a possible forgery by Tischendorf. Even claiming to say he wrote it. All right. Now, here go Kalinkas, hero monk, Seminoid supporter, letter of Kalinkas, 1862, claimed the manuscript was 19th century. The manuscript is not ancient. It was written recently at Athos. See that? Look at the forgery. They're telling you that this manuscript is not ancient. David Daniels, 21st century King James only author, claims the manuscript is a forgery. Look at that. D. Daniels is the world's oldest Bible a fake, 2017. Sinaiticus is a 19th century fake. Look at that. This view is rejected by scholars, who among scholars actually challenged the 4th century date. Mostly 19th century critics influenced by Seminoids, not modern experts. So you can't, catch challenging this thing like, nah, this ain't what it is. Mainstream paleographer, Keon Lake, Missinger, Mylinsky, all confirmed 4th century. Only fringe critics disputed today. Summary, who disagree with Tisselford. So that was just a little article I had put together where it was basically saying that the Codex Sinaiticus is a forgery, or it doesn't go back to ancient time based off the finding of the 19th century and based off his claim. See that? How many of y'all knew that? How many of y'all knew that the Codex Sinaiticus, what we thought go back to the 5th century, was a modern day discovery? It wasn't spoken about by none of the church fathers, which is interesting. Because if anything, they would be the ones speaking about it. Easy work. That's crazy. That took me for a loop when I found out about it. Guess you don't even go back to the 5th century. Or the writing style, may come from the 4th century. If I do come to the 4th century, those are just people who are opposing it, but for the most part, they ain't disagreeing with it. Yeah. See everybody chiming in. So ain't that something? Y'all look him up. There's his name right there. Constant von Tischendorf. You look him up and you'll find out that he's the face behind the Codex Sinaiticus. It's real interesting how a lot of these things are becoming exposed, Joe, when you do your research. Start finding out a lot of stuff is not as old as you think. A lot of these biblical scripts you think can go back to way back in the 2nd millennium BC. Gonna find out this shit just came out. What's the word? Who chiming in? Dreadful, where's that big man? See ya. What you chat about? What you laugh about? Where's it? What if not the same Codex Sinaiticus that Billy Carson lost a debate with the guy who's oh snap. No, that's the Codex Sinaiticus. That's it. But you got the Codex Sinaiticus Bible. You know what I mean? So that's more like an updated version of what Billy and them probably got. But the Codex Sinaiticus, yo, that shit is crazy. That shit don't even go back to the 5th century. That's right. Guys might understand. What's the word? Anybody want to hop on for a minute? Okay. We can speak on it. Show you how a lot of these biblical scriptures are not ancient. You know what I mean? You know, see him, watch me get my rub on. The oldest script you got biblically is the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead. I mean, the Dead Sea Scrolls. 250 BC. 250 BC Common Era. That's where they place the Dead Sea Scrolls, 250 BC. We place the Ezra Bible 450 BC. So within that time period, that's the farthest the Bible go back. Moses was supposed to be the 16th century, 15th century before Common Era. See what I'm saying? So it's a big old gap in literature from what the biblical stories is telling us that these events took place to the time the writings occurred. Easy work, my brother. Easy work. Yeah, that discovery is crazy. Yeah. All right. Get my grub on, son. Wife over here feeding me. You know what I'm saying? Another interesting find and discovery is the appreciate you. What's that? The James Ossuary. Yeah, we're gonna touch on that too. Was it not the same Codex? Oh, it said that already. Yeah, possibly. It's still possibility. So really and truly, ain't nobody really talk about the ayahuasca, yo. Ain't nobody really talk about the ayahuasca. As much as they hate on the ayahuasca, the more and more we further dig into the Bible, we realize that it's, according to them, it's even worse. Right? Hey, Sheila, we need to read out the false gods of the Aquarium Gospel also. The Aquarium Gospel of Christ. I remember I read that a while back ago. Yeah. That's why it's like for anybody who's really trying to look into the spirituality, all religious people, all spiritual people, they need that Owaspia. They need that Owaspia. Ain't too many books that's going to explain what Owaspia explains. In your Bible, you heard about Baal, you heard about Ashtaroth. The Bible vaguely speaks of these deities. Owaspia gives you the whole rundown of these gods. If you read the Owaspia, you will not be confused about who is the creator and who are these false gods. Regardless of what name you call a creator, it's not the name. What's more important is what does the name represent? Is the name Jehovah a deity, or is the name Jehovah the ever-present? Is God a deity, or is God the ever-present? So the creator in the Owaspia is ever-present. Always was, ever shall be. No beginning, no ending. But the biblical God is a deity sitting on a throne. So with that, that's a dangerous belief system because there are false gods who assume to be these deities. And when you cross over after you die, you'll become a subservient slave to these deities. I've been preaching that since day one. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Bible ain't what it's cracked up to be, yo. Now, the same way they modified Yeshua and Jesus and all that, they kind of did the same thing with Zarathustra. When the false god Kabbalistic took over India, he kind of did the same thing Constantine did. He compiled all the ancient sacred texts and made one book. Deified himself. Lucy in the building. I see you. What's the word, King? Yeah, we just sit up here building, man. I was just going in on that Codex Sinaiticus. That was a 19th century discovery. And a lot of critics saying it don't go back to the, or no 4th, 5th century scholars speak about Codex Sinaiticus. I found that interesting. Let me get my grub on for a quick second, family. Whoever got to eat, Sal? Me? With that Battle of the Holy Books. Hit him with that Battle of the Holy Books. We still rocking out with that. That ain't going nowhere. Mm-hmm. The Justinian Codex? I'm not sure, y'all. It's a good question. I was just interested when I found out that that particular Codex Sinaiticus don't even go back that far. It took me for a loop. I'm like, damn. Look at it real quick though. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Justinian Codex. Let's see what that's about. All right. We got something on the Justinian Codex that came up. We're going to take a look into it. One minute, family. Yes, family. You know what I mean? Yeah, you might have to get some grub on still, you know. But that filling belly still. So we're going to take a look at what Bishop talking about. Salute the Bishop. See what we're chatting about now. So Bishop got us looking up the Justinian Codex is a foundational part of the Corpus Juris Civilis, a massive 6th century Byzantine compilation of Roman law ordered by Emperor Justinian I. Interesting that you bring up Justinian the First, because he is the same one, and if I'm not mistaken, he's the first emperor of the Byzantine Empire. He's the same one that got your boys running out into Ethiopia. It was under the reign of Justinian, who had the Miaphysites running and low running, containing imperial laws from the 2nd to the 6th century, serving as a cornerstone for Western civil law system, and influencing law for centuries with its organization of imperial constitution, juris writings, digests, and student textbook institutions. So this is more like a government kind of civil, situation we're talking about here, compared to the Codex Sinaiticus, where we're dealing more of a biblical narrative. But this is interesting nonetheless, because we're dealing with Justinian the First. Now keep in mind, this is the same Justinian that I brought up in the debate in my second round right here. Let me go to my second round. Right up in here. We're going to come to Justinian. Right here. Boom. See that? Look how things come around. The persecution of the Miaphysites under the Roman Emperor Justinian during the 6th century, 518, 527. See that? This is the Byzantine Empire under Justinian, 555 AD. Look at the expansion of his rulership. So it only would make sense for him to come up with a codex dealing with what? A compilation of Roman law ordered by Justinian I. Look at that. Key aspects, parts of large works. The Codex is one component of Corpus Juris Civilis, along with the Digest, Juris Opinion, Institution textbook. New laws. What did Justin do during this time? Look what it states in the source. Zechariah, Chronicles, Book 8. When Justin became emperor, all those who did not accept the Council of Chalcedon were what? Deprived of their churches. So what is Justin doing? Creating what? New laws. Thanks, Bishop. See Bishop through the alley hoop. Now look where we go with it. Content, it collects imperial decrees and constitution covering everything from religious matters. Is not this a religious matter we're dealing with when Justinian starts depriving them of their church? Religious matters, securing Christianity as the state religion, and family law, dowry, prostitution, to property rights and criminal procedure. Purpose, to unify and systemize centuries of Roman law, creating a coherent legal code for the Byzantine Empire. But before he do that, he got to kick you niggas out. He got to deprive you from your churches. If you ain't following suit of these new Justinian laws, you got to get up out of here. And that's exactly what happened. Because when you look at the jurisdiction, Alexandria, Egypt is under the jurisdiction right up here, because that's where Alexandria is, right here. And they got to fall in line with the new laws of Justinian. Or if not, they get pushed down into Ethiopia. So that's interesting nonetheless. Significance, its preservation and rediscovery in the Middle Ages provide the basis for medieval and early modern European legal development, profoundly shaping modern civil laws and tradition. You niggas is up under the Byzantine Empire construct today, messing with Justinian the First, who ran out the Miaphysites. But yeah, though. Nice catch, Bishop. Nice catch. We can use that. Peace, fam. What up, Doc? What's the word? Gang outside. Is Muffin locked up? Hey, Muffin, come here. Come here, Muffin. Come here. Exactly, yo. That's wild, kid. What up, Cosmo Killy? Yeah, Cos, yo, that shit. The one breath, it's crazy because I got to dig more on it. That was a little brief little presentation just to do something. But I was like, yo, that's crazy if that Codex Sinaiticus is a forgery of today's time. Don't even go back to the BC. That'll be crazy. Yeah, that Codex Sinaiticus. Share my screen again. Yeah, yo. This cat right here, son. Oh, John Bala new bro face looking at. It's funny how all them cats from that time period got that same picture and all that. Yeah, King, look, they said they never mentioned in antiquity. Right here, it says, look, there is no record from the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th century of any mention of this manuscript. That's interesting right there, yo. The Codex Sinaiticus. Let me pull that up. There go your Codex Sinaiticus. Look at that. I know that ain't the Codex Sinaiticus. That definitely don't look like no 4th, 5th century manuscript. Hold on, that gotta be something else. Now, this is supposed to be a 4th to 5th century. Now, you got to think about it. What book you know survived that long looking like this? Let me see if I can put up books from the 5th century and see how that should look. Look what it states. Original books, autographs from the 4th century CE do not exist. But significant copies survive as parchment codices, notable the Codex Sinaiticus. They say, yo, they got no books from the 4th century? Nah, so they got to have something. This is from the 13th century. Now look at this. This is from the 13th century, and look how beat up it look compared to where that. Let's do a comparison. It's supposed to be a 4th century, 5th century text. Look how clean the pages are. It even got the number up here, 250. You see that in the corner? You see that? Ain't no way in hell that 250 would have lasted this long for the full damn near 1,000 years. They got the number 250 at the top right here corner. Ain't no way. But when you look at a book from the 14th century, look how worn and torn it look. This from the 14th century. We still got like 1,000 years before we even get to the 4th century. And look how this book already looking. So to say that this is a 4th, 5th century book, nah. This look more like an 1800 book right here. Let's look at books from the 1800s. Now look at this. This is a book from the same time period, 18th century. Look at that. Doesn't that match more? Doesn't this match more of what they're showing you in the Codex Sinaiticus? Look at the Codex Sinaiticus and look at this wear and tear compared to a book from the 18th century wear and tear compared to a book from the 14th century wear and tear. Proving you that goddamn Codex Sinaiticus does not go back just from visualization of wear and tear. We ain't even got to get that deep. Look at that. Look at that. That's crazy work. Just based off the wear and tear, you can see that's crazy work. That's one book right there. This scroll was the document from which was replaced by the Codex in the late Roman Empire. Okay, we don't have an actual date on that. See a little wear and tear on that. This is a medieval, so medieval is anywhere from the 14th century. Look at the wear and tear in that. Look at that. This is a medieval time, so it's crazy because they're saying like, yo, ain't no book survived that long. Those pages were incinerated. Says the Codex Manessa, the most manuscripts were ruled with horizon. Or the Codex Manessa, what's that about? Let's look that up. They ain't talking about nothing. Thought they were talking about the tribe of Manessa for a minute. I'm like, oh, what they got going on? But yeah, just from the wear and tear, you could clearly see that the Codex Sinaiticus, if that's the Codex, and that shit does not go back that far. Yes, and that Codex Sinaiticus is a really recent discovery. So we talk about the Codex Sinaiticus going back to the 14th century. You throw it in the trash, son. Yes, family. Get out there. Look at that Codex Sinaiticus. The Codex, and now this is interesting. This is real interesting. Check this out. The Codex Sinaiticus, designated by siglums. This is a siglum right here. Alpha or 1 in the Gregory Allen numbering of New Testament manuscripts. 2 in the von Soden numbering of the New Testament, and called Senya Bible. Now, this is what your boy, what's his name? Billy Carson was talking about, Keon. So this is your Senya Bible. Is a 4th century Christian manuscript of a Greek Bible containing the majority of the Greek Old Testament. Now, we just discovered that the Codex Sinaiticus doesn't go back to the 4th century. It goes back to the 19th century, modern times, even just based off, even when you look at this doesn't look like a piece of paper that goes back to the 4th century. This paper looked like it go back to the 18th century. And we showed books from the 18th century that show similar wear and tear. Look at the similar wear and tear of these books from the 18th century. Huh? And you see the same thing right here with the Codex Sinaiticus. But look at this, the segment. Now, this is Gregory Allen. He gave you the numbering system of the Codex Sinaiticus, but look at the time period he lived. Look at that. Where your boy at, real quick? Where he at? Look when he lives. He discovered the Codex Sinaiticus. In his time period, 1815 to 1874. He is from 1846 to 1917. So he would have came across, he would have been aware of the Codex Sinaiticus published by Tischendorf or Constantine. So all Gregory did was add a what? Catalog system. Huh? Gregory published another catalog system in 1908 in the Greek manuscripts of the New Testament, which is the system still in use today. See that? And von Soden published a complex cataloging system for manuscripts in 1902 to 1910. He grouped the manuscripts based on content, assigning them a Greek prefix for the complete New Testament, for the Gospels, and for the remaining parts. Now, all that's dealing with the Codex Sinaiticus. Because look what it says. The Codex Sinaiticus, designed by siglums. By who? Gregory Allen numbering of the New Testament manuscripts. And then you got von Soden numbering of the New Testament. So they basically critiqued the work of Constantine von Tischendorf. So them niggas ain't got no ancient manuscript. That Greek Sinaiticus, that Codex Sinaiticus is an 18th century script. Nor do we have a copy of where the Codex Sinaiticus would have been copied from. Huh? Look what it states. No written record of the Codex Sinaiticus existed prior to its discovery in the 19th century. See that? That's crazy, yo. That's nasty work. That's nasty work. Billy Carson, Westhoff wasn't a debate. It wasn't a. Yeah, that shit was crazy what they did to that boy. You see, that's what happens when you come across these cats who be doing the research on these biblical texts, and then You come in with the literature and they come in with the historicity, and then it's a problem. Yeah, that was crazy. But that's why you got to be prepared, Joe. Just like how we got our documents, everybody's ready. You got to be prepared for whatever it is that you're standing on. But you can get caught off guard. It happens. It is what it is. It happens. Mm-hmm. To the best, it happens. Yeah, I thought about spitting something to it before. Yeah, I got some Tupac type of vibe to it. You know what I mean? Had a Tupac type of feel to it. I was writing some shit to it. Make finish it up. Who knows? You know how the story goes. Yes, family, we just vibing out. We just vibing out, family. You know how we do. So if the Codex Sinaiticus is a hoax, what else? We got all the biblical texts dating back to the 2nd, 3rd century coming era as far as the Gospels. The earliest Gospel we got is Paul. When it comes to the Old Testament, it goes back to the 2nd century, 3rd century BC coming era. Nothing goes back to the 14th, 15th century. Nothing goes back to the 2nd millennium BC. Everything is backdated. So you have nothing in the Bible that comes from the time period that it does. So when people make these attacks on the Owaspy Bible, it's the same scenario. See, the Owaspy is not a book that's trying to tell you that we got it from here, we got it from there. It's a collection of stories. It's a synopsis of stories. You know what I mean? Let me go to Owaspy real quick. Let me show you something real quickie. You know what I mean? Like right here, when we go to the Owaspy. So there you got. Look what it states. This is God's Book of Esra in the Owaspy. Escrow's records, it says, God said this book shall be called Escrow, because it is the history of the heavenly cycle bond. That's the name of an arc cycle. It shall contain the substance of the heavenly records of 3,000 years in the first region of the resurrection of the dead. My words are not of the earth, but of heaven. So the Owaspy is giving you a heavenly record. The same way we have earthly records of the past history, likewise do the ancestors have heavenly records, in their libraries. Right? Now, to validate the record some more, when we go to the book of Jehovah, chapter 8, Jehovah states right here. Jehovah said, God shall cause what? A record to be kept in heaven of his dominion and those of his lords. And he and they shall enjoin it upon their successors forever to keep a what? Like record. So this is why the Owaspy is unique in its own right, because these ancestors that channeled this information through John Newbro was rendering up heavenly records. That's why you can't find the book of Fracapatty nowhere on the earth. That's why you can't find the book of Leka nowhere on the earth. That's why you can't find the book of Wars Against Jehovah nowhere on the earth. All these books are unique in their own right. And all these books are retelling the histories of past times. So when we hear about Zarathustra, it's not copying anything from the Sanskrit. It's straight from the heavenly records. That's what this is saying. Verse 2. And in the times of my harvest, a copy of these records, these heavenly and earthly records, shall be taken up to my Etherian kingdoms and filed. You know how when you go to the library, they file the books in the catalog, so you could go find the book when you're ready, with my Orion chiefs and archangels in the roadways of the travel of the great serpent, meaning the solar system, for their deliberation regarding the progress and management of the inhabitants of the earth and her heavens. You see how that is read? The Owaspy is letting you know that there are records that are held and kept by the ancestors, the angels, that are filed, like how we file books in the library. So when you ask, well, who was Thor and Apollo and Osiris, when you look these things up in the Owaspy, they have no semblance to what you hear about Apollo and Thor on the earth plane. So trying to connect the two is going to be silly because there's no connection other than just the name being used. When you look at Hathor, the Egyptian deity right here, right? Let me show you how naive some cats get. You got Hathor. She's the pig deity right here in ancient Egypt, right? The cow goddess, right? Hathor is a major manufactured ancient Egyptian goddess of the sky mother fertility. But in her name, she has the name Thor. If we submit Thor, there goes Thor right there. So do we say, oh, Hathor comes from Thor, or Thor comes from Hathor? No, that's silly. And these are the games that they try to play, being silly, not understanding and comprehending Jehovah's words, Creator's words. So in the Owaspy, it states again in verse 2 of God's book of Escrow, it states, the history of the earth you know already. You see us going through the books. You see us going through the sources, sourcing all the histories of the 1st century, 2nd century, going back to the BC and all that, Narmer and the Egyptian dynasties. The Owaspy say, yo, you know that already. But look what it states. Therefore, I reveal things you don't know not of. What are the things you don't know not of? These things that are mentioned in the Owaspy. If I was to ask a Christian, a Hebrew Israelite, a Muslim, a spiritualist, anybody who deals with spirituality, what is the title and ranks of angels? How is the heavenly government ran? These are things not found on earth. These are talking about things that are going to be in your afterlife procession. But then we have examples of how these processions run on earth, so you can prepare yourself for when the time comes, you cross over, you already have an idea what's to come. Look what God just said. as it has been revealed to you already in regard to the succession of God and the periods of light then, and the division of the higher from the lower heavens. It is sufficient for you to know that whatever is given of God is of him who is Jehovah's voice, without regard to which administration or which God. So it don't matter, regardless of what God is. It's the voice, what's being said, that is of potent. And to know also that the heavens referenced to in Escra is not of the higher heavens, Etheria, but atmosphere, which heavens travel with the earth around the sun. Understand that. Which heavens were called the lower heavens by the ancients, and by some the intermediate world, or the purgatory that you hear the Catholics say, through which heavens all souls must pass, being first purified and risen in wisdom before they can inherit the emancipated worlds in Etheria. Now, you think you're going to get to the Etheria when you got a bloodthirsty God telling you to go kill off fifths, to go murder and kill, and you got all these wars and murders going on? You think you're going to make it to these higher realms without being purified first of your evil? So Owaspia is the higher light, because it's giving you jurisdiction restriction. It's giving you rules and regulations on how to get to these higher lights, how to avoid going to the lower light. Look at this. Nor are these my revelations to mortals only, but to billions of the spirits of the dead. Look at that. Oh, you ain't know that. Oh, you thought when you die, that's it. You just ploop, that's it. The Owaspia is letting you know that the spirits of the dead do live, and they get these same revelations as being aware and being informed about your spiritual progression even after you die. So look what that states again. Nor are these my revelations to mortals, humans only, but to billions of the spirits of the dead who do not know the plan of the resurrection to higher heavens. But listen to this. But who are wander about on earth, not even knowing the organizations of the kingdoms in my lowest of heaven. So look at all the people dying today who has no knowledge of this. So when they cross over, they become Roman spirits. Look at all the gang activity. Look at all the brothers and sisters dying in violence and thugging it out, and all those people dying, crossing over, and not having a clue of these things. They're considered wandering spirits. That's why it's good to get this spiritual understanding while you're alive on earth. So when you cross over, you will be met with those who are on the righteous path and will guide you righteously. In comparison, your ass out here doing nigga shit, dumb shit, shooting shit up. And when you cross over, you're going to be met with the same counterparts. Right? Whom I reach by coming to mortals into places on earth where they abide. For many of these angels believe the heavens to be like an unorganized wilderness void of government, instruction, and discipline. These are your lost wandering souls. And by virtue of their presence with mortals, though invisible to them, keep in mind, look at that. Owaspia is letting you know you got spirits of the dead that are invisible to you that are in your presence. Huh? You think you in the house chilling just by yourself, right? Wrong. You got the spirits of the dead roaming around, in and out, in and outside. You go downtown, anywhere you go, the spirits of the dead are everywhere. They roaming. Think about all the people that died in the last just 10 years, let alone 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, in the state that you live in the area that you abide in. It's spirits of the dead all over. Don't get it fooled. Your pastors ain't telling you this. So when you start understanding these things, you're going to better navigate your life. By virtue of their presence with mortals, though invisible to them, do inspire mortals with the same darkness. Look at that. For which mortals have concluded There are neither Lord nor gods who are Jehovah's high officers in these kingdoms. So now you have people running around, don't believe in a God. They don't believe in God because of this happened, that happened. I don't believe. But you're inspired by the spirits of darkness because you don't understand how the spiritual realm works, nor do you understand the life after death, good or bad. When you have this understanding, you better know how to navigate. These matters shall be set forth in brief in escrow, the fullness of which shall be open to mortals and angels in time near at hand. For they shall see and read the books in the libraries of these heavens and learn to know of their own knowledge. Look at that. Look at that right there. For they shall see and read the books in the libraries of these heavens. Not all heavens, but these heavens belong to the earth, and learn to know of their own knowledge. So guess what? When we cross over and we get to these heavenly realms, there's libraries and records of the history of the earth and the history of the heavens belonging to the earth. So if we want to go back and look about what happened during the pyramid days, guess what? The records are recorded in the libraries of heaven. This is the fascination that the spirits of the dead have when they come to the realization, first off, that damn, there's life after death. And then there's places and things to see, people to see, and all these things going on no different than earth. You know what I mean? That's the beautiful thing about the Owaspy. It solidifies the life after death. Therefore, the light of this book of Escra is not of one God or one Lord or one recording angel who are constantly succeeding one another, but of the body of the first heavens of the earth for the greater part of this cycle, which is now at close. See that? God, son of Jehovah, said, "Give ear, O earth, and be attentive to the words of Jehovah's son. And ye mortals, you humans of the earth, for I have said, a time shall surely come when all things shall be revealed to the inhabitants of the earth." See that? And what is that he talking about? He's talking about the revelations of his spiritual world in the Owaspy, but you missing it because you ignorant. You too worried about, oh, the white man, the dentist wrote it, not knowing that these are the revelations you ain't gonna get nowhere else. Just like they claim you ain't gonna get no other revelation that you get out the Bible, but guess what? Here's a contended book revealing a higher revelation. Be patient and wise in understanding me. My words are for your resurrection forever and for the glory of what? The Creator. Not a God, not a Lord, but your Creator. See that? For my prophets have proclaimed it abroad, that a time would come when I would reveal all things to men, and things that were dark would be made plain, and things in the light made rejoicing. This is the revelation of the Creator. It's in the Owaspy, and they missed it. They missed it through ignorance. You ain't gonna get no understanding of the spiritual realm like you're gonna get in the Owaspy, and we'll challenge anybody on that. According to your doctrine or whatever you believe, give me what happens after we die. According to your spiritual system, show me the system of the ranking gods and the angels. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about so you can be clear about when you have to present your case, you know what you're talking about, right? Let's give an example of the heavenly kingdom. See, in the Owaspy, it lays out our spiritual ascensions like school. Owaspy describes our spiritual ascension like school. Just like school, you're subjected to a school until you graduate from that school. So, for example, from first grade to sixth grade, you are subjected to elementary school, then you graduate and move on. From sixth grade to eighth grade, you're subjected to middle school, then you graduate and move on. From ninth grade to 12th grade, you're subjected to high school when you graduate and move on. And then to the college and universities, the same process continues. So this same process is your spiritual progression. The earth plane is elementary school, where you study the elements. The atmosphere belonging to the earth is high school, where you study the atmospheric elements. And then when you graduate high school, you go into the universe, cities within the universe. That's what they call them, universities. That's your cosmos, all those stars that you look at. Those are your higher realms, your ethereal. So for us, we have a blueprint and we have something to look forward to and to follow. We're not running around here lost souls. We know exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So first we have an understanding that this is your schooling system. Elementary school, high school, and college or universities. Your duty is first to graduate elementary school and then graduate high school. So this is most important to us right here, the earth and its atmosphere. When you die and cross over, your spirit is birthed into the atmosphere. If you're a roaming spirit, your spirit will be roaming on the earth. And then when it's time for your ascension, when you have ready to graduate from the earth plane, when you're no longer a wandering spirit and become organized in these heavenly kingdoms like described earlier, then you will begin your process of ascension to these higher realms. And you start moving up in grades, like in high school. You start moving up in grade. And then until you reach the highest grade, the exosphere, the highest grade. This is an atmospheric plateau in spirit, invisible to the naked eye. And then when you graduate here, off into the etherian world, which will be equivalent to graduating high school, off into college you go. So Owaski gives us a spiritual system that is in semblance of school. So we won't be sitting around, running around lost, trying to figure out what we're doing on earth. What is the purpose on earth? What is our purpose on earth? You ever ask yourself, ask somebody what is their purpose on earth? They're not going to know. They're not going to know. But Jehovah states what? I'm going to read the highlight. I made death so that he could rise in the firmament and inherit my etherian world. So death is part of the design for you to rise into the spiritual world and inherit the etherian world. So our purpose is to inherit the etherian worlds. What are the etherian worlds? I'll read the highlight. In the all highest places, I created the etherian worlds. The all highest places, right? And I made them of all shapes and sizes similar to my corporeal worlds, but I made the etherian worlds inhabited both within and without, with entrance and exits and arches and curves thousands of miles high and wide, and in color of movable chisels, mountains and endless change in brilliance. And over them I ruled with all perfect mechanism. To them I gave motion, orbits, and courses of their own, and I made them independent and above all other worlds in potency and majesty. Now keep in mind, we just read that he said he created death so you can inherit these worlds. So your creator is describing worlds that are going to be your inheritance on this level of perfection. See that? In order to get to these worlds, you have to do a service. So look at Book of Divinity 1-1 and 3. It states, God, Son of Jehovah said, by virtue of my own authority and in the name of Jehovah, creator of all, peace, comprehensive judgment to angels and mortals, that from the little that has been demonstrated in the world of governments and principalities being manifested on earth, and may be taught that what? Similar organic bodies exist in the heavens belonging to the earth. So the same way we got governments and principalities on earth, the creator is letting you know you have these same similar governing bodies on the earth. And here's an example of that right here. Book of Jehovah Divinity 1:4. Jehovah said, "He who is chief of a government on earth shall be called king." I use King Selassie as an example because he is a king on earth. But then it states, "But he who is chief of my heavenly government shall be called God." And here is an example of a God sitting on the throne of the heavenly government. You've been taught biblically that a God is your creator. The God is the one who you're going to go serve. Your father God and all this. God is no more than a title bestowed on a king. No different than Selassie. You wouldn't pray to Selassie. You wouldn't say that Selassie is your God. You would recognize that, oh, that's just a man sitting on a throne being ruler of a kingdom. Likewise is God. But you've been deceived to think that God is the Most High Creator through these false gods in your biblical texts. And that's what we here to expose. Look what it states. In Book of Discipline, chapter 1, verse 17. As a kingdom on earth has a king, and the king is nevertheless immortal. So there go the kingdom, there go a man. Look what it states. So in like manner is the heavenly place of your God, a kingdom of angels, and the chief over them is God and angel also. So they're letting you know that God is a chief angel over a kingdom, and he's an angel. Precept in your Bible to prove that your God is an angel in the Bible, Acts chapter 7, verse 30. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spoke to him in Mount Sinai, Acts 7:53. Who have received the law by the disposition of angels, Exodus 31:18. And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communion with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone written with the finger of God. So here in your own Bible, it proves that God is an angel, validating what Owaski states right here. So in like manner with the heavenly place of your God, a kingdom of angels, and the chief over them is God and angel also. So Owaski is clearing up the confusion. As above, so below as above. An angel ain't nothing more than a person, man or female. See that? And God shall rule on his throne, for it is his, and his counsel shall rule with him in my name. They shall have dominion over angels and mortals belonging to the earth. See that? They go to God sit on a stone. And it's an example. So it's clear to see that the Owaski gives you a clear explanation on how the heavenly government is broken down. We're not confusing God with the creator. We're not confusing that foolishness. We understand that God is a title bestowed on an angel. You dig? But family, I got some things to do. I just want to hop on for a minute. Got to make a couple plays. You know how we do in the building. It's your boy Salah Shalom. Until next time, we out of here. We're going to start doing this more regularly, get back on track, and get this thing popping. Now let's rock out of here, Sam. Let's get it done.
Jehovah is as near this day as in the time of the ancients. Put yourself in order, becoming one with him. And no book is so easily read as his created universe. Inspiration comes less by books than by what Jehovah wrote. His worlds read him and his works. Frame your speech and your thoughts for him. He will answer you in your own behavior and in the happiness of your soul. Great wisdom cannot be attained in a day, nor purity and strength to overcome temptation, till the growth is from the foundation. The fool will say, the sacred books are no more than man of his own knowledge could write. Yet he has not wisely imitated the power of the words of your God. Let him do this well, and behold, he will also declare my words are from me. Yes, he will recognize them wherever found. fully capable of receiving and comprehending the highest life, and that they shall no longer depend upon any priest, church, oracle, holy book, or upon consulting the spirits, and that their behavior may make the earth a place of peace, with long life to all people, for the glory of Jehovah. To his Ethereum gods and goddesses, Jehovah said, as you have founded arcs of light in my Etherean heavens, to determine the travel of my corporeal worlds, so shall my God of the earth inspire mortals to build lighthouses for man's ships that travel on the oceans, and those who travel in the ships. And those on the land shall know when a ship nears the port, even as you see my traveling earth approaching the place of Cosmin. For this shall be an illustration to mortals, that I have appointed cycles of times and dawns of times, with gods and goddesses to superintend my creations in tenderness and love, lest by chance man becomes despondent, saying, alas, Jehovah did not provide in wisdom commensurate with the magnificence of his creations. Behold, the time draws near when the nations of the earth shall course around the whole earth in ships, crossing the seas and oceans to all the places I